What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Degenerate Jay. Jay, in this video, we're going to be talking about our review score predictions for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Game coming out very, very soon. We try to, or at least I try to do these for a lot of the major games/movies that kind of connect to me in any way. To quickly set it up, and then we'll let Jay, say his part. These are just our opinions, I guess, firstly is what we should say. We are going to be predicting what we think critics are going to give the game. We're going to be predicting some of the good things, bad things that could come, but it's also kind of like a last-minute preview event, right? We're going to kind of go over what maybe some of our concerns are, what some of our, maybe the strengths of the game are, as we are here sitting, around 2-ish weeks from the game coming out. So again, Jay, thank you very much for being on this video.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I do want to clarify one thing though, that while yours may be opinions, I am the objective standard by which all things are measured here in terms of gaming. So like what I say goes. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Right, facts versus opinion. They're very different, facts versus opinions. So okay, I'll start, but I'm going to hand it off to Jay really soon after because he's played both the alpha and beta. I really wanted to, and I got to be honest with you guys that I haven't. I really, really wanted to. I think it came out just in the worst. There were definitely other games that came out like the exact same time that both of these events were happening. I can't remember the games. I feel like Crash was one of them, but I was occupied. But where I stand on this game, I talked about it a few weeks ago. I talked about if this game is in serious trouble. I think what we're probably going to get with this game is strengths in places that, maybe not even strengths in places we haven't had it, but I feel like maybe weaknesses in places we haven't had it before. From my knowledge, the multiplayer has always been, one of the more standout-y things. Now, I've gone on record and said the campaigns for Call of Duties are always very good, underrated, because they're very, action movie. I don't know if you agree, Jay, but, I just look at them as, don't take them too seriously. They're 7 to 8 hours. They're high action. They're very nice set pieces. You may get a good story. You may not, but you know what? It's over. It's like a blockbuster. It's a better Michael Bay movie. And they do a very consistent job with that. I think we'll always get that. I don't think there's anything different about this one. Although, I love conspiracies. I like the idea of what we're doing in the story. So I think that'll be okay. Multiplayer, even from what Jay has said, doesn't seem to be the shining star of this game. I've said it before, I think zombies is probably what's going to carry, and we'll talk about it later, review scores. I feel like zombies is easily what could save a game like this. I feel like zombies, it's, you kind of assume that it's going to be good, but maybe the multiplayer, maybe it's a little bit weaker this year, but maybe the story and zombies picks it up. So Jay, having played a little bit of it yourself, how do you think maybe things will shake out in the strengths and weaknesses?
So one thing too I have to say with this is that I have to be careful what I say. With this, I'm not under an NDA or anything, but I have talked to people before who I will say know things about Activision that maybe are not public knowledge.
Right.
So ignoring that, I do think that I can say that a lot of what you've read about issues behind the scenes and stuff like that, in my opinion, is really what has been going on with, originally this was going to be a Raven game, and then Treyarch had to kind of come in and pull it out of the fire, and there has been a lot of problems with those teams together. And I don't think that that will help this game. I do think that from playing the alpha, it is very concerning. I actually didn't play the beta, believe it or not. I watched it. I watched people play it because I just didn't care anymore. Like to play it at that time, because I really don't like the alpha of this game. There are things that are fun about it. The maps, none of them feel like Black Ops. I don't think that helps at all. The graphical style feels like the game that should have come out before Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is bad. They couldn't even make a new Battle Royale game for this. Now, granted, I want Warzone to stay around. I think Warzone should be its own thing, but really what I always thought they should have done was had basically Treyarch has Blackout, and then have, which they had in, Black Ops 4, and then have obviously just Infinity War and Activision itself monitoring and running Warzone. I always thought you could kind of do that. There's room for both to exist. And I think it got to the point where this game was rushed that they just had to go back to Warzone again. Now, I love Warzone, but it's certainly not perfect either for Battle Royale. So you already have a multiplayer that's stripped out. Mounting and leaning and opening doors, stuff like that, is mostly just kind of dead. There's no doors. The mounting thing is really weird. It doesn't really seem like it did Like the game doesn't play the way it did in Modern Warfare at all. And you might think that's good, but it feels like a step backwards. And all the articles that are coming out now are basically like, hey, this game is fine, but this doesn't feel like the game after Modern Warfare. That was really my personal experience with this was that this did not feel like the game after Modern Warfare. I'm very concerned about zombies because we haven't really seen much of it at all. And it seems like what we have seen is just little nods back to nostalgia, like trying to include an updated version of Noct, trying to go back and reference things from the original zombie timeline, even though they ended it. I don't really know what they're doing with this game in general, dude. Like, there is a lot of problems that you can see just from now. And every time they do a new build of it for the alpha, the beta, whatever, there's more and more glitches that pop up, whether that's carrying multiple guns or the map glitching out and showing up as weird textures. This is a rushed job, in my opinion. I think that what should have happened with this game is when Raven had problems and they were going to move over to giving Treyarch a game, there should have been a year break for Call of Duty where Warzone was just more focused on by Infinity Ward. That's really what I think. And instead of being able to do that, I really think Activision is too focused on having to release something every year to make the investors happy. And I don't know if that's good for the long-term health of the company or of this franchise. I think that's how we ended up with situations like Infinite Warfare, where everyone stopped caring. I don't know if that's good. And you can't rely on the campaign to carry these things because I love the campaigns. I agree with you. I think some of them actually have great stories. COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 and 2, even the new Modern Warfare game. That's 5 games in this franchise that have really good stories, even not even just as dumb action set pieces, but they're well written. And I think that it's funny that they almost seem like they're falling back on that a bit with the marketing of this thing. But if you look at trophies and achievements and stuff like that, they've said before, generally not even half of the player base plays through those campaigns. So I don't know if that's what you want to market your game off of and have the only cornerstone be. It's just all very concerning to me. Sorry, right. I feel like I rambled for a long time there.
No, that's okay. No, I agree. I think that definitely that's a factual statement with the campaigns. I think people do enjoy them, but statistically, very, very few percentage of people that buy this game actually play. And actually, it's actually a low percentage of games in general. When you buy a game to start the story and finish it, that's already a low percentage. For a game like Call of Duty, it always has been, and they have been very vocal on that. Very few, the percentage is very low that play the story. So yeah, that's not something I think you can lean into all that much. And I've said it before, and I didn't want to make it too big of a point, but I will say it again now. Last year with Call of Duty, I agree with Jay. I agree with all of it seems like all the problems that they've had internally. I agree. They should have had a year break. Remember, there was rumor that this game was not even going to have a single player. Remember that they just wouldn't be able to do it, or that there was going to be issues going down the line because of the bouncing back to studios, and that this game only had a 2-year window to be made instead of the normal 3 years that they did, and they'd have to cut some stuff out. So this has been a rocky. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. It's been a rocky year. The biggest thing, the funny thing, I guess, is do people actually care? We're making this video. People will watch it, and ultimately, Call of Duty is going to be fine. I think that's kind of that's kind of like the scary / I guess good thing. Where one of the positives of Call of Duty is it has survived issues before. Like you said, there was a time and not that long ago, right? 3, 4, 5 years ago, where a lot of people, I think, dropped off. The quality was not there, and it's back, and it's doing a lot better over the last couple. The review scores, which we will eventually get to that. We'll get to it right now. The review scores have always stayed pretty darn consistent for these games. Jay and I were looking up. They normally stay in like the low 8s, high 7s, and again, that kind of goes to this general preview of it. I feel like this year has been tough on the game, and if there's ever going to be a year that I feel like drops it, user scores will always be terrible. People will always have their problems, whether they're real problems or whether they're fake. And if you have a real problem, by the way, I'm not calling you out. I think that's totally fine. But user scores are tough. As I said, make your own buying decision, right? You don't have to go based off of what critics say in general. In fact, I highly suggest you don't listen to gaming journalists just in general. It's not good for your mental well-being. But
except for us, we're new gaming journalists. Listen to us.
Yeah, no, honestly, we are. We are the replacement for those gaming journalists that are going extinct, and they don't like that very much. But that's a political aside, but I do think that's true. For this game, I'll go first, Jay, and I'll give it to you. I'm gonna go risky. I'm gonna say 7.6 to a 7.9, so a 76 to 79. I'll say that this game is going to get lower than I believe the last 4 Call of Duties. Again, we're just going based off of critic scores.
Mhm.
They normally again average out to like 80, 83 was one. I think 2 years ago was the one again 83. So I'll say this is gonna be just generally a weaker year. And again, from maybe a headline point of view of what you may see, I do think it may be kind of sectioned off into zones where it's like story is the story, multiplayer doesn't innovate enough, or it's just not as grabbing as it's been. And then the zombies maybe saves it. And one last thing with the story, last year really, I didn't play last year's, but last year got me very interested because of basically the controversy. Remember what happened with the controversy of the story, and gaming journalists just literally lost their mind? I was going to actually buy that game for the story just to slight gaming journalists because I don't like them so much, but I never ended up doing it. But at least that had, I don't know, it had something to it. You know what I mean? That was kind of the driving force. Although it was a controversy, I think a lot of people were on their side. And this year, there's nothing except for, again, it seems like a lot of behind-the-scenes issues that I think people are more becoming aware of, and I feel like it's swinging against them. Whereas last year, it was kind of Call of Duty, these guys who were trying to do something different versus the gaming journalists of the world, and that was like a fun battle, and I picked Call of Duty, by the way, versus this year, it's kind of more self-reflecting. They're like, oh, no, you know what? There seems to be some bad things going on. So what do you think, and what do you think maybe the review score would be?
Well, I have a couple things. One, I definitely would recommend, especially at this point, if you can ever get a discount on PlayStation 4, the campaign of the last years of Modern Warfare is definitely worth your time. I don't really understand why they thought it was so controversial. It's a little more true to war. It's not like it's Spec Ops: The Line, but I didn't really ever understand that from that. I think a lot of it is just if it doesn't fall in line with this certain narrative and this certain level of acceptability, we're calling it out.
Right.
With gaming journalists. I think that's what that was, in my opinion. But I will say too, my guess is going to be lower than yours on this review score. And let me just lay the groundwork real quick for why. This year has been a very, very hard year on yearly games. So you see all the sports titles, they are all trending lower. I think that this year is kind of gaming journalists, and they're not all bad. There's amazing gaming journalists as well that are standout people. But I think that this is kind of their year of, hey, let's all get together and slam these games that come out every year so that we look more trustworthy. That's how I've always taken it.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to probably sound really rude saying that, but that's kind of what it looked like. It was like really Madden and FIFA and all these things, even NBA, those issues weren't a problem to you last year or the year before, but they are now. Okay.
Yep.
So to me, I think that what is going to happen is this is going to trend. I'm not just saying this number because I think it's funny, between 69 or 6.9 and 73. That's my personal take. I think there's going to be the gaming journalists that definitely review it higher, but I think that overall this is going to fall to sort of be like, this almost seems like gaming's kicking the pants of you can be better this year with your yearly stuff. That seems to be the narrative that has been going. I don't know where that was 5 years ago. We could have used that a long time ago, but for some reason that's popped up in 2020. So I think that will definitely impact what this is, on top of the fact that there are all these glitches and stuff that we've already seen that will make an easy excuse to do so this year.
Right. No, I completely agree. You could call it a conspiracy, but I do agree. It does seem like this is the year of calling out, like, oh, there's all these mistakes, or there's little innovation. And it's like, but there's always been little innovation. And I'm not saying Call of Duty hasn't had that, because I actually do think Call of Duty's done relatively well, especially compared to a lot of other stuff, even compared to Battlefields, which are not yearly. I think Call of Duty's done very, very well. So I agree. I think this is just going to be a down year ultimately, because the Call of Duty fans, they travel in packs, Jay. I don't know if you know that, but I think this game franchise is going to be fine. Call of Duty is going to sell millions. It's going to be the highest selling game of the year, like it is every single year. I don't think Cyberpunk's going to beat that, by the way. I think it's going to be fine. They have to figure stuff out. They have to kind of reset the internal game development clocks that were broken because of what happened behind the scenes. That's pretty much it. I think Call of Duty will be fine in general. But let us know in the comments below, guys, what your review score predictions are. Are you getting this game? Are you gonna maybe hold off on it? I mean, you also have to think about, we didn't even talk about, and I guess we won't. But there's next gen that influences it too, right? Do you get Call of Duty on your next gen console? So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Jay, thank you. So this was a awesome talk. I'm very glad you were on because, again, being a Call of Duty, I would call you a fan, right? And you've played quite a few of these. You've been around Call of Duty a long time, and you've played a little bit of this one.
I literally love it, Alex.
What?
I love Call of Duty. I can't hide it.
You got to come out there. So thank you so much, guys. Make sure you check out all this stuff again in the description and in the pinned comment. Jay, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. It's always fun. Keep them rolling.
And we will see you all on the next video.